Agotin Erev Shabbos. This week's Parsha is Parshas Naso. Parshas Naso, we have the Parshas of the Nazir and the Saita. And Rashi famously asks, why were the Parshas of Nazir and Saita put together? To tell us that someone who saw a Saita, who got that terrible punishment, would immediately abstain from drinking wine, because wine can lead to adultery. So clearly the Torah is stressing that if someone wants his inspiration to last, he has to act on it immediately. Over here, the Torah is telling you to abstain from wine. I am doing no such thing. I'm not telling anyone to abstain from wine. The idea that I want to shed light on is that there's Rashi in Parshas Yisro that says, Vayishma Yisro. What did Yisro hear? That he answered that Yisro heard about Kriyas Yamsuf and Milchemes Amalek. So the premise of Rashi's question is kind of weird, because the Torah itself says that what Yisro heard. It says Vayishma Yisro, and it says Yisro heard Eis Kal Asher Asa Lekim L'Maishal Yisrael Amai, that Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim, etc. So what does it mean? What did Yisro hear? The pasuk tells us what Yisro heard. So the question, what we could explain is that the real question is, what did Yisro hear that made him come? What did Yisro hear that caused him to come? All the nations of the world heard about all the miracles. It says Shamu Amimir Gazan. All the nations heard about it. But no one actually came to change except for Yisro, the only one who came to convert. So what did he hear that impacted him so powerfully that caused him to take this step of overturning his entire life? So Yisro, we would have to say, I saw from Rav Druk, he explains that Yisro was so deeply affected by what he heard that he abandoned everything that he had. He had a prestigious life, and he abandoned everything, and he came to convert to join the Jewish people. Why did he do this? Rashi wonders, what was it that he heard beyond that which all the nations heard? That's the question of Rashi, which left them so unaffected. Why was Yisro so affected? So Rashi says that it was Kriyas Yamsuf and Milchemes Amalek. Why? Because these two miracles underscored for Yisro, it showed him clearly how people can remain unaffected if they don't immediately do something meaningful to change. The whole world knew about Kriyas Yamsuf. It says it in the pasuk. The whole world heard about all the miracles that happened over Kriyas Yamsuf, but nobody did anything about it. Not only that, it says that Milchemes Amalek. It doesn't say the victory over Amalek. It says the Milchemes Amalek, the war with Amalek, because what inspired Yisro to come forward and convert was the fact that Amalek, who knew everything that happened, and they still came to battle against Klal Yisrael. That was something that struck Yisro, that said, Yisro said to himself, he realized that he has to do something immediately so that the inspiration of the miracles that he observed wouldn't fade and be forgotten like they did with Amalek, who went to battle even though they knew what was happening. So in much the same way, in our parsha, the person who saw the Saita and her disgrace has to abstain from wine to ensure that he immediately acts on that inspiration that he had from this sight. And I think the lesson here is obvious, that in our life we get inspired by a lot of different things, and whatever it is, whatever you get inspired by is fine. But if you get inspired by something, do something about it. Don't just stay with that inspiration. If you get inspired by that, it should spur you to real change and real growth. That's the goal. The goal isn't to be inspired. The goal is to do something with that inspiration to get closer to the Rebbeinu Shalom. May we all be zeicha to do so. Have a wonderful Shabbos.